Color Me Bloody MMA podcast featuring Mike Turpin and Alex Perry.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Color Me Bloody MMA podcast. What up, knuckleheads? I'm one of your hosts, Mike Turpin. On the other end of a Skype conversation today, we got the co-host, Alex Perry. Alex, yo, what up, dog?
Yo, dog. Not much. I'm chilling, man. We got this the shittiest pay-per-view in UFC history to go over, so I'm pumped.
No,
naturally.
I mean, okay, you mean just the card was the shittiest. Like, it was a good night of fights.
No,
right?
I mean on paper. Yeah, I should clarify. I should.
Yeah, I mean, there have been like bad cards on paper that are great, or like fight nights and stuff. I mean, it sucked for people who spent the money to see that.
Yeah, the only reason people were really bummed because the trend with the UFC lately seems to be the pay-per-views aren't delivering, but the fight nights are awesome.
Yeah.
But,
so,
it was pretty good.
Yeah, let's go. All right, so we have an abbreviated episode. I don't know how long it's going to be, but you have to literally leave in like an hour, right? You have to go somewhere?
Yeah.
Okay, so Alex called me 10 minutes ago saying that, hey, just to let you know, if you want to record today, I got to be out of here by 11:30, and it was 10:20 in the morning, and I'm like,
whatever,
all right.
bro. You wanted it to go early anyway.
I did want to go early, but I didn't expect you to call me 10 minutes before you tell me you have to be gone in an hour. But I'm just, I'm just saying it's fine. It's cool. I understand. There's a yin and a yang here.
Life happens. This will make it more exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, man. A lot more exciting. Just what everyone wants. An unprepared, not ready to go podcast. Okay, let's just jump right in. We'll cover whatever we can cover, and we'll wrap it up when we have to wrap it up, and then you can go, and I'll keep talking and entertain the rest of us, and that's when the party will start.
Well,
like
right
when you leave,
8 fights, man. So
right when you leave, I'm just gonna do like a bunch of like soundboard stuff. It'll be like cheering and like fireworks and confetti will go off, and then I'll continue the podcast, and then I'll have like a laugh track and like people clapping and cheering the entire time. And every time you talk, they'll boo. I should do that one time. I should have an episode where people boo. Remember when I did that in the one episode in the intros? I should do that for an entire episode, like people booing you. A boo track and then a laugh track and like everything. Even for stuff that's not funny, people will be laughing at me. Okay, let's jump right in. I needed to get that out because that was important. Check that off the list of things.
Yeah, you're going to be doing unfunny, shticky stuff. You'll be used to it. It'll be fine.
Yeah, oh, come on.
Boom.
Bazang. Remix.
There it is.
All right, let's go over last night's fight card.
Yeah, there were only 8 fights, right?
Yeah, it was yeah, exactly. They stretched 3 fights out in a 2-hour because that the prelims went from 8 to 10, and it was like the longest 2 hours to watch live of my life.
Yeah,
we should have never done that. Like, we got to the bar at 8:00, and oh my god, man, was it tough because they were finishes. The first 2 fights were the first 2 fights were finishes. So boy, did they have to stretch out a lot. I mean, if you look at it this way, the first fight lasted 1 minute and 12 seconds. The second one lasted 4 minutes and 17 seconds. You're talking about six rounds of fighting. I mean, 4 rounds of fighting, 20 minutes of fighting in a 2-hour chunk. Ugh.
That's crazy. If I were the UFC, I would have ran the first Dillishaw Barao fight on the prelim broadcast.
Something like that. I mean, anything. Maybe not. I mean, you could do that. You could definitely rerun
fights, yeah.
You could do a Dillishaw fight. You could do you could go over like the weigh-ins, the pre-fight, I guess you can't really do a legit countdown. That doesn't work. But I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, it would have been cool to maybe rerun a fight like that, but I guess then you run the risk of people not watching it, and then you figure, if all 3 fights go to a decision, then they are able to stretch it out. But still, it was after that first fight went 1 minute 12 seconds. I'm like, oh god, here we go. Okay, so Kane Carrizosa. I kept saying Carriosa or what's that one guy's name? There's a fighter that has a
Chris
same.
Carriazo.
Yeah, that's it. I kept
He's
saying that
fighting
when
for
I'm
the
watching.
title, bro. You better know his
I know,
name. He
I know.
is a legit
I said
flyweight.
Chris. I know, but I wonder how do you pronounce his last name? I'm getting all the last names confused. I know who he is. But he used to fight in like, you know what? I had like a flashback when I saw his face. For some reason, I forgot about these. He used to fight in like Strikeforce Challenger Series a lot, right?
Chris Carriazo or the guy from last
Chris
night?
Carriazo.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I had like a flashback of like a couple wars he had with like another dude. I think an older guy. I forget. I'd have to look back in his fight history.
It might have been WEC.
Okay, I don't remember. It was something like that though. Like I remember watching fights of him before he came to the UFC. Regardless, we'll go over him another time. It'd be ironic if this was like the most like digressed, like we got off on random tangents more than any other episode, and this is like the first one where I'm like a deadline. Okay, Chris Wade won. We'll just say it was a guillotine choke.
It was awesome.
Went out. It was badass.
He switched at the last second to that arm in guillotine, just dropped back on it, and
yeah,
man, that was tight as shit.
Yeah, you know, and I was watching it like an arm in guillotine, like that almost. I get that it's a guillotine choke, but it's not like to a degree. Like it almost is like a different angle of like a triangle choke to me. Like
sort of. There's way more pressure on one side of the neck, you know, and that itself can actually make someone tap or put them to sleep, even just pressure on one side of the neck, like one carotid artery.
So it's almost like that's what like a triangle choke would be, right?
Yeah, almost. You got to be more powerful to pull these off. It's tough.
But like sometimes you see an arm in where the forearm is on the throat, okay, like the front of the throat, and he does have a good angle on the neck. It's where it looks like a guillotine choke with an arm in. But this looked different to me. Maybe there's not another name for it, but I'm sure Eddie Bravo would have one. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like one of those things. Like he would watch that arm in and be like, "That's not an arm in guillotine choke. That is a meth head's
vaporizer, bro."
Yeah, oh, it would be. It'd be like some sort of. It would be a drug reference for sure.
He got into it from New York, and then he went to zombie control. Man, I mean, it's obvious.
Yeah. So yeah, that happened. Cool. Let's just move on. I mean, we'll get through the prelims pretty quick. Anthony Hamilton versus Ruan Potts. Hamilton won the first round grappling, TKO'd Ruan Potts in the second round. I'm telling you what, dude, I really came to the conclusion when I was watching this.
Heavyweights are terrible.
Heavyweights, it's not that they're bad. I think it's like harder to operate.
It is.
Like imagine the difference between driving like a car on a racetrack or something, or a difficult course, or like a Mack truck. Like it is much harder to operate these bodies and make them move quick and stay tight. And they're such bigger targets. I think the thing people forget about heavyweights is they are like a punching bag, man. Like look at Brock Lesnar. Like it's not like he has it's not like he has like an extra foot of hand. Like I know his hands are slightly bigger, but it's a matter of like an inch. Like that dude does not have much more to cover himself up with, and he's such a bigger target. Like these heavyweights, man, there is nothing tight about them at all.
No, I know I love heavyweights because I know what I'm expecting. Like I don't get upset when I see these guys lumbering around and someone just gets awkwardly TKO'd. I mean, I know how powerful these guys are. I know how, like you said, how hard it is to operate a big body like that.
Yeah.
Like, dude, how fluid and crisp are one of these heavyweights going to look at the game of MMA when you can watch a guy like tonight, or last night, like TJ Dillishaw.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, you got to know what to expect. You got to understand how big these guys are.
You know, one thing I've noticed about heavyweights more of lately, though, and this goes for like every weight class, I've noticed that the days of like one person getting gassed while the other guy is super fresh are almost over. Like, have you noticed that when somebody gets gassed, his opponent does too?
That happens a lot.
It's a weird theory I've had for like a long time. Like, there are very few fights that are almost like the Dennis Kang, Michael Bisping, where like Kang just like gassed out, or like Shogun gasses and his opponent is still on it. I mean, and a lot of times that's more punch drunk than anything. But like the days of like the Tank Abbott on his like knees while his hands on his knees while his opponent's fresh, they're completely over. It seems like people gas at the same time, which can make for a really terrible fight sometimes. Yeah. But I've noticed that they get sluggish evenly throughout, like a lot of people do together. I don't know. It's just something I thought about yesterday. It
That's
doesn't
interesting.
particularly relate to this fight, but it's something I've thought a while and I've never really said it. And I wanted to get that out. It's a weird phenomenon. I might be exaggerating, or I might be like only thinking of examples that help my case. If I'm wrong, let us know. But
No, but this one, I think we talked about it a little bit before the actual card. I said I thought one of these guys was going to get stopped, and it was probably going to be Potts. He's just not that good of an MMA fighter.
see, I
Hamilton.
thought you had Ruan Potts to win.
No. I took Hamilton like when we did that counter move tournament and everything.
Yeah.
He was pretty much my only big scoring guy. But no, Potts is pretty terrible. I think
Potts
he's like
is
a
terrible,
judoka.
dude. Like when he was lying on his back and like wouldn't get up and stuff, it's like
Ugh.
he didn't even want to fight.
During the finish, it was crazy because some of those like right hands to the body were pretty vicious. You could actually see his side.
Now,
you could
was
see
that-
the
you think
visible
that-
damage.
I think that was pad burn. I think
You
that was
think
like
so?
pad rubbing up. Yeah, they were coming in at an angle and they were kind of sweeping
Oh,
his
okay.
skin.
I was gonna say you could like see something going on. With
I
his
mean,
body.
it could be bruising underneath. I mean, I don't know if that's an indication. Like you see it on thighs all the time. It wouldn't be far fetched that it would happen on somebody's, side. It's actually
I'm just not
surprising
used
to me.
seeing it happen in real time, like right away. But
It's surprising to me that it doesn't happen more often in fights, to be honest.
yeah,
Like more visible, like wear and tear in fights. I would think that you would see almost immediate, like some sort, not bruising, but some sort of marking from getting hit. Like if you kicked me in my side, even my side would be red. I'm pretty sure. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I think it's maybe something to do with like grappling and having your shirt off and constantly being like that. I think your skin is not as sensitive. Like maybe you get kind of more leathery, tough skin all over your body. I'm not sure what it is, but I'll tell you right now, like my like stomach and sides and like all of that are very sensitive to like if I get hit or if something, like I do swell up pretty quick, or like there's a mark, I think I bruise pretty easily. It's bizarre to me that these guys don't have more marks, and it's bizarre to me how quickly they recover after getting cut in fights.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like these guys look pretty good pretty quick who have like insane cuts. Like I get like a little, like I like catch my mouth on something, like I hit it against something at work, and there'll be like a bump in my lip for like 2 weeks, or like I get like a little cut or a scrape or something, and it's there for like 3 weeks. It's bizarre. These guys, I don't know what it is. There's something about fighting. These guys recover quickly. No, I don't even know.
Man, I guess they just the
mark on the
evolved
side
with
of the
game.
body. That's where that came from. I was like, where am I going with this? But
Yeah. So Hamilton stops just a terrible heavyweight in Ruan Potts, and he'll probably get cut after this.
I agree. He should get cut, unless it's just because heavyweight's so empty it doesn't matter. But this fight definitely supports my opinion that I think a light heavyweight who didn't cut weight would probably beat either of these guys. Like there are light heavyweights who could have beaten these two guys at their natural weight. If they just walked in at like 225, 230, they would have steamrolled these fighters. And I think a lot of light heavyweights could do that to a lot of heavyweight fighters, because the heavyweight division is just bad. It's bad.
Pretty terrible.
pretty bad. Derek Brunson versus Lawrence Larkin. Man, who did you pick to win that one? Oh, you picked Larkin because I picked Brunson, you
I
idiot.
picked Larkin. Whatever. But yeah, Brunson hands Larkin his third straight loss. Man. Larkin falls victim to the brutal lay and pray game.
Yeah, man. I know. I wasn't like hating it, but
I thought that was a possibility, but I just thought he would get caught because sometimes Brunson's pretty easy to hit on the feet, but he didn't let
dude,
it.
He did. He leads with his chin. Yeah, I'm not a Derek Brunson fan. He's just strong, and I thought he was going to be able to do what he did. And I didn't think Larkin was much of a threat.
But it's like he's not going to be able to do this to everyone at 185.
No, because it's kind of like God, who's the other guy that he beat Pat Healy. Wait, am I getting somebody mixed up? Hold on. He was on the card where we were at the lodge. Big, strong black guy. Was undefeated for a while, but was really bland and boring. And then he lost. Somebody TKO'd him.
You're talking about the former Olympian, that Cuban guy.
What's his name?
No. He's fighting Tim Kennedy. Freaking.
What's his name, Alex?
Yoel Romero.
No, I'm not thinking of Yoel Romero. Yoel Romero knocked out Derek
You're talking
Brunson.
about someone that fought Derek Brunson?
No, I'm talking about somebody who's similar to Derek Brunson in style, like a big, strong guy who was using his wrestling as an advantage, but he's actually not that elite of a wrestler.
Holy crap, you could be talking about like 100 guys.
At middleweight, who's big and black and strong. Don't act like there's a million big,
Man,
strong black.
I don't like the tone of your voice when you say black.
Well, what do you want me to say?
Just kidding.
I'm
He's big and he's black.
Ugh, gross. Oh my God, Pat Healy has 20 MMA losses. You know who I'm thinking of? No, it's not. All right, he didn't beat Pat Healy, but he is a wrestler. He fought on this card. Francis Carmont. Francis Carmont. Another guy he was doing really well. I was thinking of the Costas Philippou fight because that was the same night Pat Healy got beat by Khabib.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought Pat Healy couldn't even fight him. They're different weight classes. But
Francis Carmont.
But do you see the similarity between Carmont and Brunson?
Yeah, they're big, powerful, athletic, but at the end of the day, all they seem to do is lay in.
And they're not elite wrestlers, man. Like you could tell in the Souza Dalloway fight that Carmont's not an elite wrestler, and same goes for Derek Brunson. His fights
Brunson was in college; he's credentialed, whereas Carmont is not. But in
Carmont
MMA,
is not a credentialed wrestler.
Not that I know of. Not like Brunson. Brunson was like one of these All-American dudes. Like he did really well in college.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he would match up better against some people, but I don't think his wrestling seems to be amazing.
He was a 3-time All-American wrestler at University of North Carolina.
Okay.
But in MMA, he just looks kind of slow and basic. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. It's kind of like a Munoz, this accoladed guy whose wrestling is not as elite as like
not
elite.
Translate well.
No. Okay. Let's move on.
I by the way think maybe they should match up Derek Brunson with like a Uriah Hall.
That'd be cool. Happens. He might do the same thing he just did though. He could probably take Uriah Hall down.
Maybe, but he could also get like beat up to the body so much he's got to quit. But we'll see.
I don't know. It'd have to stay standing for a little while. I think that either has flash knockout by Uriah Hall or like a TKO quick or similar to this fight.
Yeah.
Damon Jackson versus Yancy Medeiros. Medeiros took the first round, and then the second round got this wild reverse bulldog choke is what they're calling it. But that was crazy looking, man. That was brutal. That had death written all over it.
Yeah. It was almost like a perfect mix between no arm in guillotine and like a north-south choke because of the angle he had. He was like, it's hard to explain. Reverse bulldog choke. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Whatever. I mean, yeah, it was pretty crazy. I don't even know how to like technically break it down. It's like he was going for the guillotine. He didn't have the arm in, so you get a lot of leeway there as you're defending that. You can turn your body, as much as the choke will allow to kind of just spin out of it. And he did that and almost got 180 with Yancy, but Yancy held on to the choke. So his body was angled all weird, but he still had the choke, and I'm sure it cinched it up tighter. It was an odd thing. You have to just watch it. Like, it's hard to explain.
Yeah.
But he got it.
I did, so I get it. No,
yeah.
No.
You was in the people.
Okay.
I thought Damon Jackson was going to win. I thought he was a better overall fighter, and Yancy's this weird dude from Hawaii that, like, smokes weed.
Watch your tone when you say weird dude from Hawaii.
No, but he's
is that
like, he's just kind of this like ghetto dude from Hawaii that used to be like really overweight.
God, okay, ghetto dude from Hawaii. Why does he got to keep being from Hawaii? That's what I want to know. Why can't he just be a ghetto dude?
Some of these guys that are from Hawaii.
From Hawaii, okay. So I just can't say that a dude is black who happens to be to describe what he looks like. You keep using all these modifiers that use Hawaii in a negative connotation, and I'm the bad guy? Some hood rat from Hawaii.
Some of these lower class guys from Hawaii just are really.
Oh my God. You're digging yourself a hole. Do you know how many Hawaiian fans we have?
A ton, man.
Oh God, no, they don't even have internet out there. They're so poor. No, I don't even know. I don't know. I get what you mean about Hawaii, but
He trains with the
I
Diaz
don't know.
now. He got popped for weed. I don't know.
Okay. So he's one of them weed smokers from
Yeah,
Hawaii.
he's one of those potheads.
One of those weed smokers. Oh God. How many brain cells does he have left, huh? Gosh. Okay. So moving on. Carlos Diego Ferreira against Ramsey Najim. God, Ramsey is frustrating to watch because he had the tools to win this fight. But okay. So in the first round, he was doing okay, got caught towards the end, okay? And he kind of just hung in there, got that, dropped down, got a single leg, kind of was like, trying to, didn't, well, like, almost got submitted at the end, but he got out and he was fine. Second round, he comes out, gets dropped.
Chin held high.
Yeah. Gets dropped like an idiot, coming out there just like saying hit me.
He walked right into a counter right hook.
Could you agree that he clearly hadn't fully recovered from the first round?
Probably not.
Okay, so now this guy who gets rocked again winds up on the ground, okay? Breaks away for a second, and he allows him to stand up instead of following him or coming back to the ground and getting back on top of him. The dumbest move ever. I immediately turned to Steph, my girlfriend, and I said, he is about to get knocked out. Like, he is clearly does not know what's going on because that was the worst idea ever. And as soon as that came out of my mouth, rocked, bam, 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 down. Why did he not go back into the guard or anything of
because
Ferreira?
He was a resident on Queer Street.
Yes. Oh, so now he's queer?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of, maybe.
He used to be like a stripper or something. I don't know.
Oh, what? So that's not for women?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess.
Oh my God.
Chippendales.
So side note. So yeah, Ramsey's an idiot. He's not going to have a future. His chin just doesn't hold up and his strategy is shitty. He's kind of a sloppy striker and a sloppy wrestler, like sloppy grappler. So
He's chinny. He'll never get past it. He'll beat some like so-so people. He's the kind of fighter that could probably stick around in the UFC for a while if he wins like 2 and then loses to a guy like this. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, he definitely can. It's not that he has a name for himself, but he has more of a name than people who weren't on the Ultimate Fighter. So
People just like seem to like him for some reason. I don't know.
yeah, I think he can grind out against people who don't catch him. Like he's nonstop. He's gritty. I'm not going to compare him to. He's like a Wilder. No, he's not a Wilder Clay Guida. But and maybe that's not even the best comparison. But like a sloppy grappler who has sufficient good grappling, but it's sloppy, and his striking is sloppy as hell. But he's a maniac, like aggressive.
Yeah,
No
I
chip.
like this Diego Ferreira guy, man. Undefeated now, 11-0. I'll always like him just by default because he choked out Colton Smith and gave him his walking papers, but got good slick submissions and clearly has knockout power as well. I say keep building him up. Let him get his streak going and give him some kind of another lower level guy from that division. Maybe like who's that guy that just won on the fight night last week?
That could be anyone. I'm sorry.
Maybe James Vick. Like give him that guy or something.
James Vick. That's good.
Yeah, some that tier.
Yeah, Michael Bisping. Give him Michael Bisping. Who's that guy who won on fight night? Give him some guy from China.
He'd probably beat Michael Bisping.
Okay, so, real quick side note. This will only take a second, but one of the funniest things happened. So in that choke out, that Medeiros reverse bulldog choke or whatever, there was a guy at the bar who was clearly there to watch the Orioles game and stuck around for some of the fight. And he was this older guy with his family, and he was starting to get a little drunk. I don't know. He's kind of a character, but he was kind of annoying. And he goes, "He's dead. Babe, that guy's dead. Look at him. He's dead." And they kept showing him. And like, yeah, at first I was like chuckling because like, this is funny. He goes, "I swear that guy just died." And he keeps going on and he was seriously worried. I guess he just doesn't realize how being like choked unconscious works. And he went on for like 40 seconds, it seemed like, until they finally show. And then he's standing up. He's okay. Like that, man.
That's crazy.
It was classic. Like, I guess, I mean, I'm desensitized to it and I don't know what it's like for people who don't. There are people out there who don't realize you go unconscious when you get choked. Like, people think you suffocate to death, I think is what they think. Like, they don't realize what actually happens when you get choked unconscious. And it's something that an MMA, even a casual MMA fan, doesn't even consider the thought process of somebody who doesn't understand what happens when you get choked or, even knocked unconscious. But especially choked unconscious, because most people know knockout in boxing, But
Right.
not many people realize choked unconscious, right?
Right.
So that has got to be a huge wake-up call.
You would think.
Yeah, but it was so hilarious, man. I wish I could have recorded this guy and the look on his face when he thought he just witnessed somebody dying. And so
I can't imagine like someone not knowing that. Well, I guess I can.
yeah. So bitch Correa.
I've been calling her bitch Korea.
Bitch Korea. Is it Carrera, even though it's EIA? Because that's what it sounds like they say, but it could be Correa.
There, I'll say it like a douche that knows how to
Bitch.
talk in that language. A bitch Korea.
Bitch Korea. A bitch Korea. Beth Korea.
Yeah.
Against Shayna.
It's funny
Baszler.
listening to Ronda Rousey talk about it. Like, what do you think about bitch Korea? What's her name again? She'll just she makes it a point to say bitch.
Yeah.
Whenever she talks about her.
That's funny.
Funny.
This girl is wild. She's like a diva. I'll tell you this though, dude. Did you watch the fights or no? Did you watch them this morning or something?
I watched the weigh-ins where she was wearing that thong.
I know. Whoa.
Good Lord.
I know. Poppy
Booty, rocking everywhere.
Yeah. Did you see my tweet from last night? My first live tweet was that ass.
What
That
was
was
these?
the first one. Hey, men are pigs and MMA is a man's sport. Sorry, no, it's not. Just kidding. As we cover a woman's fight. No, but okay. But speaking of Correa, she had herself so dolled up in the interviews and it made her look older and like uglier and manlier. And then when you see her without her makeup or not much makeup on or whatever she's wearing when she's fighting, she looks so much better. But when she like dolls her face up, dude, in the interviews, it looks atrocious. I mean, she looks like Cyborg.
Just looks trashy.
It looks really weird. Yeah, she like dolls herself up really bizarrely, and it looks bad. But she's an attractive woman. But that's not why we're here. We're here because of how they fight. And Shayna Baszler proves again that she just happened to be at the right place at the right time when women's MMA was like starting to boom, and her name was there. She was this like rock and roll chick who had a little bit of, I guess, grappling skill, but she's bad. I mean, she's bad. We saw it on the show. We've seen it every time she fights somebody who's good. I don't think she's beat a legitimate opponent ever. And she's just not good. Is that a thing can we agree?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm looking at it now. She beat Alexis Davis in 2010. In 2006, she beat Julie Kedzie.
I mean, the coolest thing about her is she has 2 wins by Twister.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, man, she's not good anywhere except for her ability to succeed in scrambles and hit like funky, weird submissions and string together like cool submissions and maybe hit one of them. She's never been a good wrestler, and she's had a horrid striking game.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, Alexis Davis beat her in a rematch. Mm-hmm. So, okay, you're right about her. And you know how she crumbles. She doesn't have the heart. She definitely crumbles easily. I think.
She should go into pro wrestling. She's such a big fan of it. I mean,
she stuck it out in this fight pretty well, but she was getting lit up in the second round. She got TKO'd in the second round. It was funny too, because I was talking about it before the fight happened. I was explaining to Steph how there are highlight reel knockouts in women's MMA, but I don't know if it's happened yet in the UFC, and it happens very rarely. And I'm like,
it happens against the 4 horsewomen, Jessamine Duke, Shayna Baszler.
Yeah. So, what happened here though? But see, Shayna wasn't exactly knocked out though. I mean, she was just getting hit a lot, and it's like it's hard for Carrera to actually knock out Shayna. Like, that could have went on forever potentially. Like, she might have never knocked her out. That'd be like punches from a guard. I explained a lot of women striking like dude who's in another person's guard teeing off for like 3 minutes and not being able to get the knockout because their power isn't there because they're in somebody else's guard. Does that make sense at all? I know it's a weird analogy, but it's like
I see what you're saying.
And it's not always the case. Like some women have the power to knock another woman out. But it also, another thing I noticed is a lot of women, I actually said this before this fight and it became a huge factor, don't seem to be able to take body shots as well. Like I think the muscle around their torso is not nearly as prominent as a man, to the point where like light shots to the body crumple some women. And,
yeah, for sure.
And that is,
Duke in her last
and if you
fight.
can't knock a girl out on the chin and you can do more damage, I really think strategically you're going to see a lot more body work in women's MMA. That's going to be
Ronda
a
Rousey, Sarah McMahon. That neither dropped her.
Yep. I think body shots are going to be the future for knockouts in women's MMA. Like they're going to fight with a whole different style. They're going to fight with their hands down and striking low. It's going to be like when you boxing when you were a kid and you didn't want to do headshots.
Right.
Friends. Does that make sense, or do you think I'm just?
Yeah, I think you should coach some of these women. You know, they're not smart enough to figure it out on their own.
Oh God. Yeah, I was saying that earlier. No. No. Yeah, I mean, honestly, Correa. All right, so if she did fight Ronda's first round would be way too much for her, right? The fact that Shayna won this first round to me proves that Betch going up against Ronda would be deadly in the first round, as in she would get killed.
She'd get taken down and submitted or TKO'd. But
absolutely, first round finish.
Good on Correa for taking advantage of this like horseshit pro wrestling moniker these girls are going with the four horsewomen and all that. I got to give them credit though; they are like keeping up to the actual name, because they're the four horsemen. Like the three besides Ric Flair were essentially just jobbers.
Arn Anderson.
They were essentially just jobbers for other contenders to blow through, like on their way to the title.
Yeah,
to fight Ric Flair, who was the only wrestler in the four horsemen.
Yeah,
four horsemen that mattered, and that's who Ronda Rousey is. So these women are doing their job. All three of them, the other women in the four horsewomen, all three of them, their last fight have been like pretty devastating knockout. This one, Marina Shafir fought on some weird regional thing, like her second pro fight ever, and she got brutally knocked out. Yeah. And that's like Ronda Rousey's best friend or something. But and Jessamyn Duke, highlight reel knockout up against the fence to that Leslie Smith chick. So yeah, these girls, whatever. They'll stick around because they're friends with Ronda Rousey, so they should consider themselves lucky.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Danny Castillo versus Danny. That's not. It's. How do you say his last name? I think I had a moment I realized I say this guy's name incorrectly.
Castillo. That's right.
Okay. Why? There was somebody else then I heard that I said it incorrectly then. I don't know. Regardless, so they said somebody else's name then.
Now,
well, I don't know who. But going on against Tony Ferguson.
What'd you think of the decision?
Honestly, after the first two rounds, I said to myself, I hope Tony Ferguson just won those two rounds, but I think I'm being biased because A, I picked him to win. B, I think I like him more, even though he came off kind of a dick in the show, but I think I like him more. And C, I do like people who are aggressive and fight off their back.
Exactly. I love this. I loved the decision.
Now,
this needs to happen more.
People are idiots. There's always a weird feeling when a guy clearly wins the third round and loses a fight. It's always going to be a weird feeling. Sure. And I think there was that in the air. But God, this was my only other tweet was Ferguson is doing his best to wind up in bad positions. Like he did everything he could to like get on his back. He's was
got a little too much confidence in that submission game.
Pulling guard, trying for much. He was like going for like sweeping under for like leg locks and stuff. Like he did everything to be dominated by Castillo's boring wrestling.
Yeah, Castillo's too good of a wrestler and too savvy.
Why would he do that? Like I think Ferguson was going to win the striking match. Why did he keep doing that?
Absolutely. I don't know.
And it's not even like Castillo's takedown was that strong. Like, I mean, yeah, he probably could have got a takedown here and there, but it would not have been nearly as much on the ground domination from Castillo if Ferguson didn't put himself on his back.
Yeah.
But he won, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, the keys for Ferguson were his inside leg kicks while they were standing. He was attempting that Bravo choke for a really long time in that first round. And his bottom game was just hyperactive, the elbows and everything. And I think you should score that more heavily than
yeah.
just being on
And
top but exacting little damage.
Talk about a guy who made himself look dumb. This is another example of a fighter who clearly doesn't understand the 3-round system. Joe was trying to break it down in the post-fight interview for Castillo and was like basically saying, like, I don't know if you watched this or not. I don't know if you just watched. Okay. Yeah. So Joe was like, Danny, you're an idiot. Like, what the hell? No, I'm joking. No, he said it seemed to be like a fight where the first 2 rounds were Ferguson being aggressive and doing damage from like the guard while you in the first 2 rounds, while you won the 3rd round and were controlling the fight. And Castillo basically didn't even acknowledge the fact that the first 2 rounds he didn't do much damage. He goes, I was dropping bombs, I was trying for the finish, I was doing this, and it's like, dropping bombs? What did he even do in the first 2 rounds? Did he do any damage?
Listen, no, not at all. Just listen to a few Danny Castillo interviews, man. You'll get the gist of it. Not the sharpest tool, but
he was like about to cry.
Yeah, he's a simple man, but you know, and he was all worked up, man. He thought he was going to get the decision. He's in his hometown. They're in Sacramento. You know, the fans are voicing their opinion, so he's going to say something stupid.
Yeah, well, he's stupid. No,
stupid is as stupid does, bro.
Yeah, but he's stupid. Okay, Tony Ferguson, bright future, but he's not going to make it against wrestlers with submission defense. It's not going to happen. I'm putting it out there right now. I mean, he's going to get dominated by guys who are the better wrestlers in the division, who are smart enough to not get caught in submissions.
You're right. And there's too many of them at lightweight. Lightweight's just crazy. Imagine him versus like Khabib.
Yeah, no, but the guard is dead. I'm sorry. It's not completely dead, but Tony Ferguson is not.
It's not dead. It's got to be tailored differently.
Yeah, Tony Ferguson's not bringing the guard back, whereas like he's not going to beat the top 3 wrestlers in the division via his guard.
Those kind of guys are getting submitted in scrambles, not just from a position that started from the guard. Like
exactly.
So definitely agree with that.
Tony's going to have to get better at
staying on wrestling. The feet.
Yeah, and staying on the feet, and both of those things, using his reach. He does a good job.
He's a great boxer.
When you throw all those wild kicks and stuff and do that, like you're going to get taken down. He needs to use his hands better and his distance better, and he needs to practice his wrestling and not like. I know he's a submission freak and does wild stuff, but it's not going to always work.
Yeah, and that's kind of a new thing for him, too. He wasn't always – like, he's been working at Teth Planet a lot in the past couple of years, and now he thinks he's like a submission wizard, which he does have a good ground game.
People – Eddie Bravo says it, too. Eddie Bravo says that guy has the best whatever, Darce, whatever.
Darce, yeah.
It's not even a Darce. It's like – what's this other name for it? It's another person, so the first letter's a different fucking thing. Eddie Bravo has like 8 different versions of a Darce choke, and they're not.
Well, are you talking about D'Arce?
Yeah, D'Arce, but you get what I mean. Yeah, okay, so it's named after him, but then there's like another version that has a different letter because it's like the difference between having like it'd be like the difference of being like half guard and side control or something.
I gotcha.
So I'm like he has different names for
I'm sure you're right. I only know Darce and Bravo.
He says it on Joe Rogan's podcast. He broke it all down. But
Tony Ferguson's going to have to tailor his game if he's going to want to stay relevant in the top 10 because, like you said, wrestlers with good submission defense. But what do you think about – I think they should do maybe Tony Ferguson versus like George Masvidal when he's ready.
Sure, that'd be great, man.
Good fight.
Think that's a perfect fight. And it also tests Tony's striking because while they're on their feet, that'd be a good one. Cool. Let's see. Main event. TJ Dillishaw versus the number 1 contender, Joe Soto.
Joe Soto on 24
One bad
hour notice.
mofo Soto. Did you know that's his nickname?
Yeah.
One bad mofo Soto. Okay. Can we agree that in the first round, maybe even the second round, he looked okay? Like he looked like he had a chance, maybe the first round?
Dude, he's not a bad fighter. Just people don't really know who he is.
Don't really know who he is? How about don't know who he is at all? Like, okay,
he was a Bellator
they saw him
champion.
In Bellator. Okay, exactly. Maybe they saw him in Bellator. But when did he win that championship? In his Bellator debut? Against who?
It was a while ago.
Against who? Diego Saraiva? Who the hell was that?
And then he got knocked out by that little annoying dude.
Joe Warren.
Old guy, yeah, Joe Warren.
So it's not like his Bellator fight, his Bellator days were ones that were, That wasn't his Bellator debut. I'm sorry. He had a fight in between. I'm looking at it wrong.
Did
He
he?
did have a few fights in Bellator before that. I remembered him for Bellator, but not well.
Exactly. Yeah, we're in the
I
same boat.
never saw a TPF fight.
Oh, Tachi Palace?
I don't think I have. I've seen like fights from it, but I've never watched like a whole
That's
night
where all
fight.
the flyweights came from, pretty much. Like,
Yeah.
Ian McCall and those guys.
Yeah, I've seen individual fights. Like I've seen bigger fighters or people who have fought in there and like links, but I've never actually watched an event.
Me neither.
Yeah. So
Because I don't know where to watch it, but, you know.
yeah, I think at one time I saw like an online stream and like I didn't click it, but it was.
Yeah, I mean, good on him for, fighting TJ Dillishaw at 24 hours notice when you had a whole camp for someone else. I mean, that's pretty
the
ballsy.
second round was actually pretty close, I think.
He was way more competitive than I think probably anyone would have predicted, man.
He was more competitive than Barao was.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
Maybe-
he was countering pretty well.
I feel bad for this guy. I just hope he wins his next few fights and, you know, looks good from here out. Like,
Yeah,
I
you gotta gift him something, man, because he did the UFC a favor. He kind of bailed him out.
Yeah.
So give him like a George Roof or something, you know, like let him knock someone out.
I agree. I give him George Roop. That's good. You're right. He should. He should do something to build his confidence because that took a lot of balls. This is his UFC debut. Okay. He was thinking he's going to come in and probably come out on a good note and win, and he just gets thrown to the wolves. Now, granted, there's a lot of upside to him coming out and losing this fight like he did, but there's a lot of downside too.
Yeah.
Like, for his confidence, man, it could wreck him. Like, your dream is to get a UFC title shot. You don't want the opportunity to be the wrong time.
Exactly. Immediately, your first fight in the UFC. That's crazy.
Like, it's almost like he almost has to think of this as not even being a title shot to help his psyche. Like,
True.
he'll
Like, it's
earn
just
his
another
title shot,
contender.
but he can't think of this as him making it to the end of the tunnel, like the finish line, and coming up short. Like, he has to
you're
think
right.
of this as a step along the way to getting the title.
He's got to think of it as just another fight to gain experience. Like, don't even think about the context of the fight. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
This-
the only way. But imagine that, dude. You know what it reminds me of? This reminds me of when Tito Ortiz fought Patrick Cote.
Yeah.
Like, this guy comes in from another organization who's, touted well, and then he comes out and has to fight Tito Ortiz's first fight in the UFC. Same thing here. It's like you just had to fight the guy who just dominated possibly the pound for pound best fighter in the world when that happened. Like, you were arguing that Renan Barão was the best pound for pound fighter in the world when TJ Dillashaw dominated him, and now you have to fight that guy. I'm serious. Like people don't understand what that means. Like, TJ Dillashaw may not have a name for himself like the other people, but look who he just beat and how he beat him.
Exactly.
That'd be like having to fight Chris Weidman or something your first fight.
He'll start making his name when he beats Dominic Cruz, because I think that's what's next.
Yeah, I hope.
He's going to fight the Cruz Mizugaki winner because Dana already said when Barão comes back, he's not getting a title shot. So that's the title eliminator.
Yeah, I agree.
And,
okay.
He'll beat him.
So
His footwork's insane. His footwork and his angles he creates, like, he's a completely different fighter.
But
He's the
I'll tell
best
you this,
striker in the
he
division.
sure did leave himself a little bit open in this fight. His head got tapped a few times, man, and we know his chin is not amazing. It might be good, but it's not amazing. So
Yeah, he can get knocked out. I mean, we all know, John Dodson did it, and of course, huge power for the lighter weight guys. And
this is a guy who can be knocked out, though, and a guy who can be hit. He did not have his first fight reminded me of like a more versatile Frankie Edgar, but I think defensively Frankie Edgar is a better striker than TJ. TJ is just so much better offensively.
Frankie's a better boxer for sure.
Better head movement and slipping. He's much better at avoiding damage.
I think TJ has the better offensive footwork.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure he does. Why don't I mean Frank? I don't know about compared footwork. That's just something I don't quite grasp. Like, I get when I look at a guy and see when he's doing something good, but when you're comparing Frankie Edgar to TJ Dillashaw, I don't quite have that much of a complex understanding of it all. But
it seems like his offensive, when he's aggressive, his footwork, his angling is a little better. But Frankie's more like a circling guy. But Uh, I don't know. They're similar. I don't know.
Yeah.
Frankie's awesome. I mean,
Yeah. Okay. So, um, okay.
yeah. So I think
Yeah,
give
we need to get to the
Soto.
fifth round. So we didn't even really cover exactly what happened. TJ Dillashaw, fifth round, like first couple rounds, basically Soto's only chance in this fight was like trying to drop bombs, and it became less and less prominent as the fight went on. I think by like the middle of the third round or something, you could tell where the fight was going, and you lost pretty much any hope of or any chance of Soto being able to get a finish here or doing much.
Right.
TJ Dillashaw out of nowhere just like head kicks Soto, and the follow up was brutal.
Yeah, that was an
Put him
awesome
out.
finish.
A fifth round knockout where it wasn't a TKO and it wasn't due to exhaustion. It was a legitimate knockout.
Yeah, that's 2 in a row
And
now.
he kicked him with his foot. It wasn't even the shin.
Yeah, I think part of it was on the temple.
Does that make you question Soto's chin, though? Or his ability to take a shot? That was like a Cain Velasquez kind of Junior Dos Santos thing where it's like, I get the placement and where it is a bad spot, but it doesn't look like there's a ton of power behind it. Like that kick did not look that brutal to me. Was it the follow-up that completely knocked him out? I mean, he was definitely rocked from the kick.
Oh, the follow-up, that left hand when he was coming
brutal.
in.
Perfect,
yeah,
man.
That knocked him out. The
Whoa.
kick, well, clearly, he was wobbling back and forth like a zombie after the kick. But, yeah, I think it was the placement, man. Even though it was just the foot, like the majority of the foot, I believe, struck him in the temple. And so it just,
Look, I'll tell you
was
what,
on
though.
those wobbly legs.
It's scary, though, it's got to be scary for a fighter knowing that they have the ability to be knocked out by something that's not extremely powerful. That's what I'm going to say. Like guys like when George St. Pierre got caught by Sarah, when guys like that get hit in spots that I get they're bad spots, but they aren't strikes that are extremely powerful or like combos or brutal punches like Mark Hunt has been dropped or Dan Henderson got but those aren't guys who they had great chins and it's not like they're getting knocked out from nothing. Like they are still being able to take a big shot, and it really takes a lot to put him out. The fact that a jab to the wrong spot could potentially knock out Joe Soto, not saying that that's comparable to a head kick, but honestly, a head kick from a foot isn't that powerful, right?
No, I mean you're looking to connect with Shin, yeah.
Yeah,
Foot, I mean that's more like a karate technique, you know what I mean?
I guess if you throw it like a tie kick and it hits with the foot instead of the shin, it's a longer lever point. It might still have like the force and longer leverage, but it's like hitting someone with the handle of a hammer as opposed to the head of a hammer. You know what I mean? Like I could hit you over the head with the wood of a handle, or I could hit you in the head with a hammer. Weighs the same exact movement. One of them is going to hurt you a lot more. That's what it's like. I mean, that's exactly what the foot is compared to your shin.
True.
So,
I agree.
God,
Did
man,
you
I
hear
got some killer analogies today, man? I'm on point. What's up? Taking notes.
Did you hear Mike Goldberg's Goldbergism?
I don't know. I don't know if I did.
He was talking about Dillashaw, and like the cadence he talks with and everything. Like I can't really do the best impression, but he's basically like talking about Dillashaw, and he's like, he's truly as good as many in the world today, Joe.
Oh my God.
What does that even mean? It's like, you're done. Stop.
You know what? I had a good enough. Okay. Mike. Oh my God. Dude, I did hear it because that's when I said, Mike Goldberg is dumb when, like somebody else heard Steve, no, it wasn't Steve Kirk. Somebody else, maybe he heard the comment. We heard him say something dumb. Steve Kirk came out and watched the fights.
Cool.
Somebody heard something dumb, and I think it was that line. And I was like, this dude, there's not a whole lot going on upstairs, considering the fact that this guy has sat next to Joe Rogan for this damn long. And Joe Rogan has a podcast that has like 537 episodes, and Mike Goldberg hasn't even been on one of them. Hasn't even been on one. This is a guy that does not have much to offer mentally.
Right. And every time Joe talks about him, he's like, yeah, me and Mike are buddies, man. Love that guy.
Then get him on your podcast and let's see how much you guys click.
Yeah, like what is that guy really like? What would a casual conversation between those two, like out of context
I'm
to the
sure he's a
UFC,
good.
be like?
To be honest, I'm sure he's a normal guy, and Joe just probably caters to Mike Goldberg. Like Joe probably has very normal friends, but they're not podcast guests. Like I have friends that are probably dumber than Mike Goldberg, and we have just fine conversation. But you just don't talk about the stuff you talk about when you're like really going in and you really are like speaking freely. You just have normal, like I have buddies at the gym who are just like normal dudes, and they're good guys. You talk about work, you talk about whatever, but you joke around, you have fun together, but you can't really talk about things. I don't want to say as intellectually because I guess that's subjective, but as it's not. You guys aren't on the same page.
True.
You know, he's on page 5 of a coloring book. You know,
Travis Luter is the Michael Jordan of
I
jiu-jitsu.
know.
Is that safe to say?
God.
And Rogan just goes, no.
Okay, so you only have about 10 minutes. Let's go ahead and just
Yeah.
talk over next week's fight card. You're not going to.
Oh, hey.
Huh.
The only other thing I wanted to say about the card was Bellator did something hilarious, little troll move last night.
What'd they do?
I don't know if you saw, they released on Twitter. They made a post on Twitter. Full fight replay. Joe Warren knocks out Joe Soto. And they put it on Twitter.
Oh, really? Yeah,
Yeah, it was hilarious. I was like, oh, shots fired.
That is funny, man.
Little backdoor dissing.
Okay. That is funny. Oh, man. Okay, let's go ahead and go over next fight. We're going to be quick, okay? Name a fight.
Yeah.
You say who you think and how. God, this fight card's good, but we pretty much time
Just go top
restriction.
5 and we'll blow through it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Nick Lentz versus Charles Oliveira.
Cool. That's a rematch. Last one in a no contest, I believe. I think Oliveira wins. I think
All
he
right.
taps him.
I'm going to go with Nick Lentz. Nick Lentz is the slight underdog. I'm going to say Nick Lentz via decision or TKO. Or submission. No, I'm just kidding. Decision or like a grinding TKO. Joe Lazan versus Michael Chiesa.
That's a good fight.
Yeah.
I think Lozon wins. I think he wins that positional jiu-jitsu game, but Chiesa is very good.
Is he going to win by submission or just positioning?
No,
round?
I think he wins a decision there.
I'll tell you this right now. I will tell you this. If it is a grappling match, absolutely no way does Joe Lazan win a decision. I will go out on a limb and say that. I think Chiesa is going to be in a dominant position. The only chance Lazan has on the ground is like a scramble submission.
Okay.
That's my prediction. I think Chiesa's wrestling is too strong to wind up losing the positioning game to Lazan.
Chiesa's a better wrestler. I just think, strictly speaking about jiu-jitsu positionally, I think Lozon might be better.
We'll see.
If he can stay on top, but that's a big if. So
I'm going to go with Chiesa.
Good
Chiesa is the slight favorite, but it is damn close in the betting lines. I'm going to go with Chiesa decision. Ground and pound kind of doing that. All right, let's move on.
Oh God.
Matt Mitrione versus Derek Lewis.
This fight scares me, man. Derek Lewis is a beast. Well, his nickname's the Black Beast.
Why does he have to be black? No. Why do you gotta say?
I don't know. I want Meathead to win this fight by knockout.
Why are you saying Black
so bad.
Beast? Sorry, never mind. Keep going.
It's literally his nickname.
I know. I'm joking.
I want Meathead to win this
literally
fight by
Black.
knockout so bad, but I think he's gonna get caught. I think Lewis is gonna win. Knockout.
Okay, I agree. And Black Beast is the slight favorite. Alistair Overeem against Ben Rothwell.
I think Reem takes it, man.
I do too.
Reem 3.0.
Overeem is a huge bet. I'll tell you right now, though, man. You can get Ben Rothwell at plus 431. Dude, if I had an extra $100 just lying in the bank account that I didn't care about, I would put that down. That is that betting line is way too off considering Overeem's chin.
True.
Ben Rothwell could easily go out there and get a knockout. Just fighting almost. I really see that being a possibility, but I'm not predicting it.
Especially like a year or so ago. But now it seems like Overeem's kind of tailored his game a little bit, little safer, little smarter game planning. He lost some of that ridiculous muscle. Seems like he's taking everything a little bit more seriously, but that's been said before about Overeem. I don't know, man. He's so inconsistent.
It wouldn't matter at the end of the day. If Ben Rothwell can find the chin, it's done.
Oh, yeah.
But
yeah. Who knows? I think Reem takes it.
Keep in mind, you're saying that off of one fight. You're saying that off of a Frank Mir fight. So
Yeah, I know, but
I hear you and I agree, but I don't think it's as cut and dry and obvious and clear just yet. He needs a couple more fights before we can really say how much his game has changed a ton.
yeah, and he doesn't have too much longer in his career, so I mean, he's got to do it now.
He was fighting Frank Mir, who has possibly some of the least threatening stand-up anymore. At one point in time, he had more threatening stand-up, and some of the least, but definitely some of the least threatening takedown offense in the heavyweight division.
Yeah.
Like, that's a fact. But I'm still going Overeem, unfortunately. I'm pulling for Ben Rothwell, even though, you know what? Part of me just wants Ben to maybe save Overeem losing for someone else, because I don't want Ben to keep fighting in the UFC.
Okay, well, I can appreciate that. I know you hate Alistair Overeem.
Yeah, but I would much rather see Overeem keep fighting in the UFC than Ben Rothwell. So maybe let Overeem win this one in a good fashion, and then let him get knocked out fighting someone else like Dos Santos.
Yeah, someone legitimate, so we can be like, okay, he's done.
Yeah. Okay. Jacare versus Mousasi rematch.
Yes. What a great fight.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it's great. Stylistically.
Well, the striking match is interesting. Do you think the ground match is interesting?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, Mousasi's got great jiu-jitsu, man.
He does. You're right.
He's just not Brazilian, so.
I know he has great jiu-jitsu, but that's like a black belt at your dojo going up against a guy who's Metamoris black belt.
Yeah. First of all, we don't have any black belts, so.
But you get what I mean.
No, I understand.
Well, technically, you kind of do, Rollo. But Rollo's jiu-jitsu is probably higher level than. Is his jiu-jitsu higher level than Mousasi?
That's such a weird.
Is it? I'm being honest.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so he's just a normal black belt, just like Mousasi's probably just like a normal that kind of level, I would think.
Yeah, I think the winner of this fight should probably go against Rollo.
Can Rollo cut that? We can't keep talking inside baseball like this. People don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Okay.
I think Mousasi wins this fight by TKO late in the fight.
That'd be cool. I'd like. Oh man,
round.
late in the fight. Oh, I think Mousasi gasses before Souza. I don't see him winning this late in the fight. It'd be nice if he won via strikes. I'd like to see Mousasi get a standing finish.
Right.
But part of me likes the idea of Jacare eventually fighting Weidman. I would, whoever wins this fight, I'm happy for them because clearly they did something right and they are one step better than we thought, So I'd like to see, part of me is like, I'd really like to see Jacare do well in the striking against Mousasi because that would prove his striking to be really, really damn good. And then part of me is like, I want Mousasi to get a finish on the feet because that'd be like, okay, this guy is back to what we thought he was.
All right.
So we'll see.
We'll see. It's a cool matchup. It's interesting. A lot of different variables, a lot of different things that could happen. I think Mousasi gets the better of him.
Okay. Real quick. We're not going to be here next weekend because you're going away.
I'm going to the beach. This fight card is on my birthday. Okay.
I know you only have like 2 minutes. We don't have to go nearly as in depth. I mean, Christ, we didn't even do this for the UFC that just happened yesterday. So I just want to say this real quick. The most important fight, obviously, Antonio Silva versus Andre Arlovsky.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's the wrong damn fight card. Good Lord. I'm looking at the wrong one. That's not the fight that we need to talk about.
We just went over the one we need to talk about.
We do need to talk about. That is the right one that we need to talk about. I'm not thinking because it's a week ahead. I'm like, why does it say September 13th? You're going away the week of the 5th. I'm like, oh, yeah, duh, because it's a week out. Okay, Silva versus Arlovsky 2. Who do you have?
Silva.
Me too.
Yeah, unfortunately. I'm a big Arlovsky fan, but, I mean, it's kind of over for him, in my opinion. He's too tentative, man. He had too many crazy knockouts, like, in the middle of his career, like. He's just a name at this point, so.
Yep.
He'll get knocked out or he'll get.
In other news,
it went to decision, but who knows?
In other news, something we haven't covered yet: Eddie Alvarez is fighting Donald Cowboy Cerrone, UFC 178. That's going to be a hell of a fight.
It's going to be incredible.
Yeah.
If that John Jones Cormier fight stuck on that card, I mean, they could do close to 1 million buys probably.
Yeah.
But, oh well.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. You got to go, right? You got a jet.
Yep.
All right, guys. Check us out on iTunes. Just Color Me Bloody MMA podcast. You can find us, download through there if it's easier. That way you can stay in tune. If you find us throughout some other manner, Twitter at Color Me Bloody. Find us on Facebook, Color Me Bloody MMA podcast. Friend us on MySpace. No, but you get what I mean. Find us. Let us know that you're listening. Tweet at us. Be like, hey, I listened to the show and Mike is really cool. But, you guys ever think about getting a different co-host? You can email us too. ColorMeBloodyMMA@gmail.com. Tell us something you want us to talk about. We'll talk about it. Give you a shout out. Blah, 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 blah. That's it. I'm good. We're good. Alex's birthday is next weekend. We probably won't be here, but I might find someone to do a fill-in episode, but I doubt it. So
we'll see.
Just because there's not a ton to cover. If some big news happens, I might do it. But we already kind of talked about the main event of a card that isn't very good. So
sure.
I think we're good. We covered our bases there. All right, guys. See you in 2 weeks, maybe. All right.
We'll see. Peace out, fight fans.
Bye.
It's good fun. Black Beast.
Bye. Hawaiians suck.